Nitrogen is one of the essential component of air, and in air we can see 79% of nitrogen gas is present, and this is also an important component for life because this is the component of the protein, this is the component of the amino acids, and this is the major component of the cell. But most of the organism cannot use nitrogen in gaseous form. Plants, they utilize nitrogen in fixed form, that is incorporated inside the compound, like nitrate ion form in compound, ammonium ion form in compound, or in form of urea. Animal procure their nitrogen uh, from the plant directly or indirectly. Nitrogen is cycled in nature or in biosphere in four different processes. These are nitrogen fixation, decay of nitrogen, nitrification, denitrification. And for enter the process, uh, the entire process is regulated with the help of different microorganisms. One of the important steps of nitrogen cycle is nitrogen fixation, and as we know that nitrogen is very inert molecule, inert gas, and it is very difficult to utilize nitrogen to form another compound by combination with another atom. So that requires substantial amount of energy input, and three processes are associated with the nitrogen fixation in the biosphere in a form of compound from the gaseous stage of nitrogen. That one of the important thing naturally happen, that is lightning, atmospheric fixation by the lightning. Industrial fixation is also there. In different industrial process, the nitrogen is combined with other atom to form the compound. And biological fixation is also done by certain microbes, single microbes, or the symbiotic relationship with the microbes and plant and animal. In atmosphere, in atmospheric fixation, the nitrogen is broken down in presence of lightning. When lightning breaks nitrogen molecules and enables their atom to combine with the oxygen in air, forming nitrogen oxide. So nitrogen oxide is formed during the time of lightning, and this nitrogen oxide further dissolved in rain and forming the nitrate, and that are carried to the earth. So this process contributes 5 to 8% of the fixation of nitrogen in earth. And second important process of nitrogen fixation is industrial fixation. Under the great pressure, high pressure, and 600 degrees Celsius, with the presence of catalyst, the atmospheric nitrogen and hydrogen combine to form the uh, ammonia, and ammonia can be used directly as a fertilizer. And this ammonia further used to process the urea and ammonium nitrate, that also used as a fertilizer, inorganic fertilizer. So this fertilizer, so when applied in the field, that actually the nitrogen is fixed in the soil and the plant can uptake this. There are several microorganism and living plants that helps in the fixation of nitrogen, and that process is called as biological fixation. In this process, the nitrogen is fixed with the help of certain bacteria and archaea because they have the ability to the fix nitrogen, and some living uh, plant that mainly belongs to the leguminosae family, they create an symbiotic relationship with some of the microorganism or bacteria present in their root. So some establish symbiotic relationship with plants other than the legume like alder, and some establish the symbiotic relationship with animal like termite and sheepworm. So wood eating bivalves are the example. Nitrogen fixing bacteria mainly available in the soil, and nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria are essential to maintain the fertility of the semi-aquatic um, environment like paddy field. This biological fixation is very essential to fix the nitrogen and maintain the fertility of the soil, and it requires a complex set of enzymes and large amount of ATP expenditure. Although in initial stage the stable product of this process is ammonia, and this ammonia incorporated in the protein and other organic nitrogen compounds. So when the plant produce this kind of protein and the thing, animal totally relies on the plant for this source of this nitrogen. Second important stage of nitrogen cycle is decay of nitrogen, and the proteins generally produced by the plant enter and pass through the food webs through primary consumer and the secondary consumer, and just as like the carbohydrate, and each tropic level their metabolism product, uh, actually the organic nitrogen compounds that released in form of a excretory substance like urine, and the final beneficiaries of these materials are the microorganism of decay, and they release these molecules that are generated from the excretion and the dead organism. They convert this nitrogen in a form of ammonia. So after formation or release of this ammonia is further taken up by plants and usually through their roots. However, the most of the ammonia produced by the decay is converted into nitrates. Until recently, this was believed that to be accomplished by two steps. So bacteria of genus Nitrosomonas, they oxidized ammonia to nitrates. Nitrosomonas oxidize ammonia to nitrate, and certain bacteria like Nitrobacter, they oxidize this nitrate into ammonia. Nitrosomas is the bacteria, they convert this ammonia, oxidize this ammonia to the nitrite, not nitrate, nitrite, and this nitrite further converted to the nitrates with the help of Nitrobacter by the oxidation. So these two group of autotrophic bacteria are called as nitrifying bacteria. By their activities, the nitrogen is now available to the root of the plant, and that nitrogen further taken up by the plant. However, two groups reported from the genus Nitrospira were able to carry out both the steps, that is the conversion of ammonia to nitrate and from this nitrite to nitrate. Both the steps can be done by this kind of bacteria, and they are also known as COMAMOX or complete ammonia oxidation. And apart from this, in soil and ocean contain archaeal microbes like Crena archaeota that converts the ammonia to nitrite. They are more abundant than the nitrifying bacteria and may turn out to play an important role in the nitrogen cycle. Many legumes. Legumes means that bears legume or pod fruit. Example of the leguminous plants are sweet pea, all the pulses, senna. So these legumes, in addition to the fixing atmospheric nitrogen, also perform nitrification and converting some of their organic nitrogen to the nitrites and nitrates, and these reach the soil and when they shed their leaves, so these leaves further helps in the nitrification process. And the last process of the nitrogen cycle is denitrification. Denitrification is very essential to remove nitrogen from the atmosphere and pass it through ecosystem. And denitrification reduces nitrate and nitrite to nitrogen gas, and this gas is uh, actually thus replenishing in the atmosphere, and this process can form several intermediate like nitric oxide, nitrous oxide. Nitrous oxide, as you know, this is a greenhouse gas, and this is quite harmful even compared to the carbon dioxide, and nitrous acid. So once again, the nitrogenous bacteria, these are the agent, they deep in the soil and aquatic sediment where the conditions are anaerobic, they use these nitrates as an alternative to the oxygen, and they actually utilize this oxygen and release this nitrogen in the nature. ANAMOX, anaerobic ammonia oxidation. This is the group of microorganisms. They are under anaerobic condition in marine and the freshwater sediment. Uh, Bacteria are able to oxidize this ammonia. They can form the nitrogen gas directly with the help of the uh, nitrous oxide. So here you can see NH4 plus NO2 minus. They can form the nitrogen and water. The ANOMOX reaction may account for 50% of the denitrification occurring in the ocean. So all these processes participate in the closing the nitrogen cycle or completing the nitrogen cycle. Thank you.